We are back at it.
You expect to not get your teeth kicked in on your home field.
This is not 1980s OSU.
Zach Robinson a long time going deep to downtown.
We are back at it. Welcome back to another edition of the Pistols Firing Podcast. I'm Carson Cunningham, joined as always by Colby Powell. Colby, happy Friday. How you doing today?
Happy Friday. Good. It's been a good week. It's been a good day. I'm enjoying this little spell of summer that we're getting right here in the middle of not winter, but I mean it's mid-November and it's like 80 degrees today. So gonna go outside and play with kiddo after nap this afternoon. Been a good week. How about you?
Yeah, I'm loving the weather. I had to go put on the things you put on the faucets on the outside of the house last week. The freezing temps were coming in on Sunday, so nice little reprieve. The one thing I hate about the state of living in the state of Oklahoma, and look, I love living here. I'm born and raised, grew up in Edmond, haven't left. I've traveled all over the country in my TV career, and big cities are hassles and all of those things. So I really love living here, but the number one thing I hate is that fall usually lasts like 2 weeks, and then we're just stuck in winter until who knows when, and there's very little to look forward to because it's dark at 5 o'clock. I hate that fall is not longer, but hey, I think this 80-degree weather, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah. This has been solid, and we've turned the calendar, Carson. It is fully basketball season, aside from the coaching search and my fantasy football teams. It is fully basketball season, and I am full on basketball at the moment. So I know we're going to get into a lot of coaching stuff today. We will predict the OSU Kansas State game later. It is only November 14th, so there still are 3 football games left. But as far as I'm concerned, Victorious Miller, that's my guy now. We have moved on.
Make him say, I know that was before your time, but the No Limit Soldiers with the big tank, that music video hit when I was like in middle school. And like somebody tweeted at me this week that the Youngs don't know how cool this connection is with the Miller family. Percy, his uncle, Master P, his dad, Silk the Shocker. For a 90s kid like myself, it's a pretty awesome family lineage there, and not to mention he looks like the best player on the team so far. I know Roy's been out, but man, there's a lot to be excited about for basketball. We will get to that. We will get to the coaching search for Oklahoma State. I do have a new name that is on the list, and I think I do have kind of what's considered the final list for Chad Weiberg to consider as who the head coach will be. But a new name that I had not heard yet, that there's a very interesting parallel to Oklahoma State that we'll get to. They call that in the TV industry, Colby, a tease. But first, let's get to Chris's University Spirit, your one-stop Cowboy shop. Be sure to shop at chrisuniversityspirit.com. Section 231 still going. I love to see the Bananas at Gallagher-Iba. They were at the wrestling duel. The Section 231 folks were getting after it at the wrestling and basketball games, and that's what we need. Bring that energy inside Gallagher-Iba Arena for basketball and wrestling, because those two teams, they're recruiting at an incredibly high level. Steve Lutt's in the top 5. David Taylor, number 1 overall recruiting class in wrestling. So much to be excited about. So get your gear at Chris's University Spirit. And if you're inclined to make Gallagher-Iba rowdy again, you can check out my website, Make Gallagher-Iba Rowdy Again on Shopify. Everyone listening to this, promo code for PFB listeners, PF Pod listeners, type in PF Pod for the promo code. That'll get you 15% off your order. Lots of great Make Gallagher-Iba Rowdy Again gear. And I love the classic Block O, the Origins collection. Check that out as well. Doug Meacham wears some sort of variation of that. It's not as traditional as that Block O you see there, but go there, get your gear, and let's make Gallagher-Iba rowdy again, Colby. I'm really excited for basketball, and I know you are as well.
It was big time weekend at GIA this past weekend. Wrestling on Friday, and then Cowboy basketball on Sunday afternoon. Just absolutely waxed Texas A&M. The girls go out there and drop 112 against ORU. Oklahoma State women's basketball has every leading three-point shooter in the country. J.C. Hoyt's out here talking about in-game records. Like, yeah, if we can put our name in the history books, we're going to go do it. So Gallagher-Iba, it's kind of the place to be right now. we thought about going to the football game tomorrow. It's going to be hot. It's going to be like 85 degrees, 11 o'clock kick with the kiddo. We'd be layering up with sunscreen and sweating. We've got a toddler birthday party tomorrow afternoon. So we're probably going to stay home tomorrow morning, but we will be making a trip to GIA at some point. My daughter, she loves watching basketball on TV, has not been to a basketball game in person. So I'm looking forward to that. And hopefully she will get to experience it at its rowdiest, as opposed to if we had gone to a game like, I don't know, last spring.
Yeah, I mean, it's been so long since that building's been full and had a lot to cheer for. And gosh, it's been a long time since I've been in that building that way too. I mean, I'm not just talking about, oh, poor youngins, you guys haven't seen Gallagher at its full capabilities. It's everyone's kind of forgot what that building can be. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see just how raucous and how rowdy that environment gets with Steve Lutz when they go on one of those big 15-0 runs, timeout opposing team, to the crowd just going bananas, pun intended, I guess. And then the wrestling duels, there's a big pin. It's going to be insane this spring, so I can't wait. But we do have big news to get to, Colby. The coaching search is kind of wrapping up. I mean, I think Chad Weiberg now has interviewed all the top candidates, and there's a lot of directions to go here with it, but we've talked about this till we're blue in the face. It's interesting now that I'm starting to see articles about Alex Golish, and I know you have the coaching odds. The odds to become the next head coach have come out, which we can get to, but I do find it funny that Alex Golish's name is now being bandied about nationally, and just everyone just widely considers him a candidate, which I said that 3 weeks ago. Where's everybody been? Like, everyone's a little late to the party on that, but he's certainly among the top names, if not the top name right now.
Yeah, the Vegas odds are really weird, Carson. And by the way, for the listeners, whoever the new name is, Carson has not told me who the new name is that he's heard has interviewed and is a potential candidate. So Eric Morris is the leading odds getter at 2-1. Zach Robinson is plus 250. And then Alex Golish is 20-1 to get this job. For context, Deion Sanders also 20-1 to get this job. Ben Arbuckle also 20-1 to get this job. John bleeping Gruden 18-1 to get this job. Brian Kelly 18-1 to get this job. Both have better Vegas odds than Alex Golish at 20-1, which I don't know. Part of it makes me think, have they heard something? Vegas is usually pretty spot on with stuff. They don't just throw numbers at things to throw numbers at things, but I have to think this is way off. I still think from what I've heard, and I'm curious to hear who your new name is, I would still be surprised if it wasn't Eric Morris, Zach Robinson, or Alex Golish, and then this mystery fourth name that you've teased.
Yeah, I mean, first off, who was the outlet putting out these odds? Was it BetOnline?
BetOnline.ag, yes.
Well, as you and I are certainly aware, their lines are terrible, and they're very easily they're not very informed. Now, I know we got crushed on the OSU win-loss total by that
was our fault.
Same book, but they're wildly off just by being simply misinformed, and I think it just shows you how little has come out about the Oklahoma State head coaching job. Again, only the last couple of weeks, or last week and a half maybe, have we heard Alex Golish's name nationally. I think Bruce Feldman finally came out and reported something about it when I was saying it 3 weeks ago that he already interviewed. So to me, that I don't put any stock in BetOnline's numbers. Now, if ESPN or Caesars were putting out lines and he was that far down, okay, well maybe they do know something here. But those offshore accounts, I don't put a lot of stock. I mean, come on, Deion, Gruden.
Yeah, it's goofy. How did Gruden's name even end up on the list? Who would hire Gruden? He's not even a football coach anymore. He's He's a TV personality. What are we doing?
That drove me crazy. I actually tweeted about that this week. I was like, how is John Gruden's names keeps popping up on all of these lists as if he's a desirable candidate? We all know who John Gruden is. I find him super entertaining when he does his spiels and his Chucky impressions. But if you just look at him on paper and his track record, he has a losing record since he took over. Okay, since he took over the Buccaneers in 2002. And won a Super Bowl with Tony Dungy's players that first year. He had a losing record in the NFL. He won 40% of his games his last stop with the Raiders, and hasn't coached college football in any capacity since the 80s. So nobody's hiring John Gruden. Quit putting him. I get it. It's just the big name factor. They think Joe Schmo over in Vegas walks up to the sports book and says, Gruden, that'd be a good hire. I'll go with the name I recognize. Maybe that's their thinking, but it's nonsense. But other than that, I think the list is pretty solid. Let's just get right to it then. I mean, so the way I understand this is I've been pretty dead on with who all has interviewed. And I think everyone I've reported that's interviewed is now in the top 5 of the finalists. I can say pretty confidently the final 5 finalists will not come as a surprise to most people. Alex Golish, I've been talking about him for 3 weeks. Eric Morris, interviewed recently, crushed his interview. Colin Klein, I also reported he interviewed. He's in the top 5. Zach Robinson, no surprise there. I reported last December he was the number 1 candidate. But I will say Zach's 5th, not 4th on this list, is what I've kind of been told.
Okay.
So I think it has way less to do with the NFL timeline, which is being reported in multiple places. It has far more to do with what you and I have discussed in Zach's strengths and weaknesses versus the other candidates. And the new name I've heard is a guy. Let me get my graphic up here. I got visuals.
I am on the edge of my seat.
I have visuals to go with this. The new name that I've heard is a defensive coach. All those guys I just listed are offensive minds.
Jim Knowles?
Kane Womack is how you pronounce this. It's spelled like Womack, but Kane Womack is the defensive coordinator at Alabama. And by the way, Colby, he was the head coach at South Alabama from 2021 to 2023, which means he came into Stillwater and kicked Mike Gundy's tail all over the field up in Stillwater. Look, this guy has a lot to like. And while this name comes out of left field, this makes a lot of sense. He's on the Kalen DeBoer tree. They coached together at Indiana. He was the defensive coordinator at Indiana in 2019 through 2020. Linebackers coach there, but before that. Then he was at South Alabama before that, then went back to South Alabama as the head coach, and then Kalen DeBoer hired him to his staff as a sitting head coach to be the DC at Alabama. And I still have the UNT offense plugged in there. Bad editing on my part, but he runs a 4-2-5 defense. Alabama's number 4 in total defense this year. And look, I think we can all agree Alabama's not what they've used to be up front. They don't have just a million first-rounders waiting in the wings anymore. They don't probably have the depth they used to, and he's still doing a very, very good job as a defensive coordinator there. So, Colby, a lot to like there. Not many defensive names. And I got to go back to my graphic here. So that's the picture I went with. His headshot on Alabama's website on the roster, I didn't want to do him dirty because it's a funny picture. That's his headshot on there. I wanted to give him more of an action shot. I'm sure Colby can pull it up and look at it too. Looks like a scene from The Office. That guy that dated Pam in The Office that wasn't Jim. He kind of looks like that guy. There's an Office reference for you.
I can't believe that you just referenced Roy. Of all the Office references, you referenced Roy.
It just came to me. I was looking at the picture. But your thoughts on Kane Womack is how you pronounce that.
Womack. Okay, I definitely would have gone Womack. So, look, I don't hate the idea. And the reason that this is in my head is because I've been listening to analysts talk about these NFL head coach openings, right? Namely the New York Giants. Brian Daboll gets fired. They've got a young quarterback. They want him fostered. But look what just happened in New England. New England went out and they hired a defensive head coach who can run the organization. And what did he do? He went out and made the home run offensive coordinator hire. So we have talked about the idea of Zach coming in as the head coach and then making the potential defensive coordinator home run hire with Jim Knowles. It could be the other way around. What if they go get a defensive mind to run everything and to bring defense to Stillwater, and he goes out and hires a home run offensive coordinator? This is a name, Carson, that is just totally out of left field. I don't hate it. I mean, look, defensive coordinator at Alabama, just for reference, I pulled up the box score from that South Alabama game in 2023. South Alabama had 18 first downs to Oklahoma State's 14. South Alabama had 395 total yards to Oklahoma State's 208. And here's the kicker, Carson. South Alabama had 243 rushing yards in that game to Oklahoma State's 94. South Alabama controlled the ball for nearly 35 minutes in that game. They ran it 47 times as they just drilled Oklahoma State in Stillwater. And after that game, I remember we talked about Womack, and I didn't think at the time that he would ever be a guy we would talk about ever again. But his ascension from that to Alabama DC, and obviously they're in position to do big things this year. So I don't hate the name, Carson. I don't hate the idea. I would again have questions about the timeline. Like, this to me is where timelines get murky. I have every reason to believe that Alabama is going to be playing football in January. If Alabama is playing football in January, how does that work with Kane Womack potentially being the head coach at Oklahoma State? I would say that this name doesn't get me more fired up than an Eric Morris or an Alex Golish, but this is not an out of left field name that I immediately turn my nose up and say, I don't want this guy in Stillwater. He was obviously really good at South Alabama, and Kalen DeBoer, for as much as I made fun of him after the loss to Florida State to begin the season, he's obviously doing a good job down at Alabama. They've turned things around, and they're one of the best teams in the country. So, yeah, definitely a name out of left field. Of all the names I thought you were going to say, Kane Womack was not on my list. But are you telling me that he has interviewed?
I'm telling you, he's in the final top 5. I can't confirm whether he's interviewed or not, but that probably goes without saying. If I'm being told he's in the top 5 that's remaining, he definitely interviewed. And look, I'm certainly with you, and as I've talked about many times, I certainly would like an offensive coach. That's kind of what Oklahoma State's been built on throughout their entire history, dating back to the 80s. But, man, there's a lot to like here. Back-to-back bowl games at South Alabama. He went into Stillwater and kicked Mike Gundy's tail. And it goes further back than that. When he was at Indiana, his swarm defense, he calls it, the 4-2-5, he calls it the swarm defense. He was a Broyles Award finalist. He helped Indiana. This is, again, back in 2020. He had Indiana
before
ranked
Indiana
second.
was Signetti, Indiana.
Yeah, and they ranked second nationally in interceptions, 13th in takeaways. Just an elite defensive mind. So that's why he's been interviewed. Clearly, being at Alabama makes him very appealing to boosters, to just winning the hire nationally as far as making some waves. Hiring the defense coordinator at Alabama would certainly raise some eyebrows for an Oklahoma State. I don't think a lot of people nationally view Oklahoma State as a job that the Alabama defensive coordinator would leave for, frankly. That would be a statement in a lot of ways. But I'm with you. I don't believe or have been told that he's the front runner. I still think it's Alex Golish and Morris kind of jostling for that position. Zach, I think, has slid a little bit in the eyes of Chad and the powers that be. Just for all the reasons you and I have talked about, this is a different world. This is not just step in and hit the ground running when you haven't been in that world yet. I think it would make Chad Weiberg a little bit more comfortable, someone who's experienced NIL firsthand and has that job experience on hand. So, interesting name that's been thrown out there. Would that not just be, look, you want to hire the best coach, and maybe Kane Womack's it, but if you're Mike Gundy sitting there and they hire the South Alabama coach, what's your reaction?
Boy, your reaction is, more salt in the wound, I guess. South Alabama, not only, Carson, did South Alabama just embarrass Oklahoma State, that was the night that we all knew, Gunner doesn't have any business being out there. Like, it was that game. That was the game against South Alabama that we all realized.
I was saying it well before then, taking a lot of arrows on Twitter, taking a lot of heat from people online. How could you say that about poor Gunner? Guys, he doesn't belong on a Big 12 field. But
that's why I said player. South Alabama is when everyone realized, like, Kane Womack and his guys are the ones that came in, and we all looked down there and we're like, that's an Emporia quarterback whose last name happens to be Gundy. And yeah, that was a tough scene that night. Yeah, I'm sure that would be a little tough for Mike to stomach. Carson, I really am. Again, he doesn't vault over Golish or Morris for me. Zach has gone down my list a little bit too. If I can just bring up one thing, it's this weird Michael Penix quote earlier this week that really made me raise my eyebrows when at his press conference, he was asked if he has anybody like on the staff or in the locker room or anybody that he can turn to when things are tough. And he said no, like in a press conference, in a media scrum for a team that's struggling and a young quarterback who needs all the help he can get. He was asked if he has anybody he can turn to, and he said no. He said, personally, I don't know if he said girlfriend or fiance, but somebody he can turn to personally for stuff like that. But football-wise, like another quarterback or coaches and stuff like that, he just said no. He doesn't have anybody to turn to. And, I mean, my gosh, I'm looking at a Falcons offense that has struggled and a young quarterback saying he doesn't have anybody to turn to. And I'll be honest, the on-field stuff gave me less pause than the quarterback of that team telling me he didn't have anybody to turn to. This isn't some Zach smear. I'm not like anti-Zach all of a sudden. It's just so hard when there are so many good candidates. It just feels really risky with Zach all of a sudden. It's not like it's Zach or some bum because we're too late in the coaching cycle like last year would have been when it's mid-late December. This is like Zach or 3 or 4 premier coaching candidates that a bunch of universities would be really happy to have as the head coach.
I think you're making far too much out of that quote from Michael Penix. I saw the tweet.
Fair enough.
I mean, to me, the question was worded strange, and she couldn't even figure out how she wanted to word it, and she kind of stopped talking. And I think he took the question as, do you listen to former quarterbacks or current quarterbacks? Do you have any like peers or mentors that played I think she was trying to get it like, do you have any mentors that have played in the NFL? And he kind of was like,
okay.
No, I don't have like a former quarterback or anything. My fiance, and he kind of just went on down that road. And I would put far more stock in the quotes that Jared Goff made about Zach and how much he helped him and how much he leaned on him when Zach wasn't even the offensive coordinator. That's a guy who has won in the NFL and can succeed, unlike Michael Penix, who's not very good, and answers like that make you wonder about his headspace. But I didn't take that as a damning thing about Zach.
Okay, hand up. I read the quote. I did not listen to the question. So I did not hear her question, how it was worded. I just read the quote. So hand up, my bad. Retraction on my part. But I'm still more excited about Eric Morris and Alex Golish. And the point I was making there before I derailed myself, as I've been known to do, was the idea of having a defensive head coach come in. And Carson, in my mind, the way I see this, if it works perfectly, is defensive guy comes in and then he rotates through an offensive coordinator every 2 to 3 years because that guy gets hired to go somewhere else. And I don't hate it. It's just young, hot offensive coordinators coming in, trying to put up as many points as possible so they can go get hired and go be head coaches. I don't know. I don't hate it. I wouldn't hate a Kane Womack hire.
No, I mean, I wouldn't hate it either. I mean, you instilled his swarm defense, the 4-2-5, which fits the Big 12, and really just modern college football to a T. You have to have more DBs out there than you used to back in the day. That instilling that, like, it's far easier to go find a top offensive coordinator than it is a defensive coordinator. So I'm totally with you. Go hire the next Will Stein or the Mac Leftwich guy out at Tech. He was at Texas State a year or two ago, and we were all talking about him. You just pluck those offensive coordinators from really any level. Mike Yursich from Shippensburg ended up being a great hire. I mean, it's a lot easier to find that. So from that aspect, I totally agree with you. And to me, to wrap up the top 5 list that I've heard, like that, I think Colin Klein and Womack are on a tier. I think Zach's kind of floating in the ether on his own tier, and then I think it's Morris and Golish at the top tier. That's where I would rank it, and that's how I would say it stands today. And I think there's a lot of variables from here. How much money does Alex Golish want to be paid? I mean, Bill Haston wrote a really good article this week about coaching salary at Oklahoma State and how it got completely out of whack with Mike Gundy. How much does he want? How much does Morris want for staff? There's a lot of those things you're going to have to iron out well before you even offer the job. But can I defend Mike Gundy here real quick? Now that brings me up to mind. The article from Bill made me think of something. So, and Bill's not wrong that OSU shouldn't be paying their next head coach $8 million. He argues they shouldn't have been paying Mike Gundy that. I disagree. I think if you've done what Mike Gundy's done in his career, he deserved top 10 money, and he was paid right around there, maybe a little less than where he stacked up wins-wise. And the fact he was an alum, Colby, he was never going to get 6, 7, 8, get to those tier jumps into the top 10 where he needed to be as an alum. I think everyone just assumed he was staying. So for everyone who hates Mike Gundy for flirting with other jobs, I have never really held that against him because he was going to get kind of hosed in taking a hometown discount at his own alma mater. It's just business 101. It's a leverage game. It's not personal. It's business. Did I think he was going to Tennessee? No, I did not. Did I think he was going to Baylor? I laughed. But Mike Gundy laughed all the way to the bank. And that's what you have to do as the head coach. It's a unique thing that he was an alum. And I know people hated that. But Mike deserved to be paid in the top 10. He took Oklahoma State to that level. So I wanted to take that opportunity to defend Mike for all those years that, will he go, will he not? And I think the things I had heard was like, at one point, Mike Holder was like, if you want to go, go. We're good. Like, we'll go hire the next guy. And I don't think Mike Holder ever took any of that personally. And I don't think Mike Gundy really did either. I think Mike Gundy was just doing what he had to do to be compensated fairly and justly. So that article, sorry to get down that rabbit hole, Colby, but that article really reminded me of a point I've wanted to make for quite some time when it comes to Mike flirting with other jobs.
For me, my opinion on all that's simple. The production dictates the salary. Mike Gundy was one of the best coaches in the country for a long, long time. Mike Gundy was paid as one of the best coaches in the country for a long, long time. Certainly the latter half of his career. The salary didn't become a problem until the bottom fell out. When the bottom fell out, the salary became a problem. You had the 2022 nightmare in between Big 12 Conference Championship game appearances. You had the non-con 3 quarterback carousel in the fall of 23 that was a disaster. You had the 0-9 conference season in 24 that was a disaster. And then you had the complete embarrassment that was the non-conference this year 69-3 to Oregon, losing on your home field to Tulsa to what was clearly a better football team. The bottom fell out. When the bottom fell out, the salary became a problem. But when he was one of the best coaches in the country, when Oklahoma State put the product on the field that it put on the field in 2021, Carson, that was one of the best teams in the country. Now, they made some key mistakes and some key moments. They weren't able to capitalize and get to that 14 playoff. That was probably the 5th to 7th best team in the country that year. Yeah, and Mike Gundy was paid as a top 5 to 7 coach in the country. He was doing that at Oklahoma State. The salary wasn't a problem until they started losing football games. Through 2021, certainly, he was worth every dollar, and then he still scraped together an amazing 2023 season. So, no big issues there for me.
Yeah, I mean, none for me either. And I guess to wrap up the top 5 list, I'm really encouraged by this list. I mean, is there anyone, Colby, you can think of that should be higher on this list? I mean, I'm pretty good with those names, and I think the fingerprints of the search firm are all over this. That's how you get to a Kane Wilmick. Look, I know he came to Stillwater and won, so maybe he was already on Chad Weiberg's radar from that. But I do think that's a name that comes to mind that a search firm would locate and would kind of identify as one of the more up-and-coming names that people around here locally wouldn't be aware of.
Yeah, I think so too. Obviously, the search firm has a lot to do with that. There's no one else I can think who should be on this list who isn't. There's no one who's on it who I think shouldn't be on it. Kane Womack was an interesting last-minute addition. I'll be honest, Carson, the deeper we get into this, I've reserved the right to change my mind as we've gone throughout this. When Gundy first was fired, I thought, okay, Zach Robinson, I love the idea of bringing him in. I've been an Alex Golesh guy for a while. Ever since Alex Golesh really got on my radar, I've been an Alex Golesh guy. The closer we get to the actual decision being made, I find myself rooting more and more for Eric Morris to be the guy. He's 40 years old. He's done it at every stop. He has this ability to identify quarterbacks at Incarnate Word. It was Cam Ward, and then it was John Mateer, and now it's Mestemaker down there at, what's his name, Drew Mestemaker down there at North Texas. I'm all in on everything Eric Morris. Mestemaker would likely be coming with him to Stillwater. Mestemaker is a redshirt freshman, so you could potentially have him on campus for a few years. I don't know, man. Eric Morris seems like the easy button for a fast turnaround because you would have that position right, seemingly.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong. I mean I can see both between Golesh and Morris. You can make it a legitimate argument, and I do think there is an argument to be made about him bringing talent with him. My question would be on the Mestemaker thing. Like, who's to say he would give OSU a hometown discount just because his head coach went there? I know that's typically what happens, where a quarterback follows their head coach, And that just happened here in Oklahoma and down in Norman with Mateer and Arbuckle. But how important is that to you? Like, to me, it's more important to get the right guy that's going to win long term than it is to get an influx of players right away. And look, I know that can be successful. Look at Indiana. He brought a bunch of players with him. But I think it's way more important to get the right guy. And when you look at Alex Golish's track record, what he's done offensively with quarterbacks, what he's done recruiting, he's an absolute monster on the recruiting trail. Just recruited the lights out at Iowa State and Illinois, two places that are not easy to recruit to. His history in the Big 12, his offensive innovation, his success in the NIL era as a head coach at that level. I mean, I know it's a level lower than Power 4, but I don't know, man. I'd probably go with Golish, but you could certainly talk me into Morris. I mean, those quarterbacks you mentioned is nothing to sniff at. He clearly has an eye for it, and he would certainly fit the identity of the school, and it would certainly piss off Texas Tech fans, which I'm all for.
I think that's like checking the number one box on your list is the pissing off of Texas Tech fans. But it's not the be-all, end-all to me, but I think Mestamaker would come. I don't think he would need to take a discount. I've talked to people who've told me that they've talked to people who said there's real money ready to be thrust into that specific position. Like, there is money available from not multiple donors. I've been told that there's money from a single donor ready to pay for a program changer at quarterback, is what I've been told. If that guy is Drew Mestamaker coming with Eric Morris, so be it. If it's Alex Golish and then you go get another quarterback and bring it in, so be it. I'm not off Golish, to be clear. I'll be thrilled if they hire Golish. I don't know. It's just the closer and closer we get to it, I just keep reading more and more about Eric Morris. I keep hearing more and more smart college football people talk about Eric Morris, talk about the amazing job he's doing, talk about, could he be the next Curt Cignetti? Like, those are conversations I'm hearing around Eric Morris's name. And I'm like, God, if he is, I'd like him to be here.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I do like about him too is it reminds me only like inversely about, Ryan Silverfield, the coach at Memphis. He would really concern me if my school wanted to hire. Not because he's won double-digit games the last 2 years. There's a lot to like on paper. I just kind of view Memphis as like one of those jobs, kind of like VCU in basketball. No matter who the head coach is, like, they win. Like Jeff Capel, Anthony Grant, doesn't really Shaka Smart. Like, just they're really good for their level. Like, you look at Memphis football, Justin Fuente flamed out. Mike Norvell at Florida State seems to be flaming out. That hire would really concern me. Whereas Eric Morris, I mean, Seth Luttrell did a good job there, winning 6-7 games, going to bowl games. Like, Eric Morris got him like to the different level, to like the playoff level. That says a lot to me, and that's the inverse reaction I would have than like the Silverfield at Memphis. If I was Arkansas and they hired Silverfield, I would be scared to death. Whereas with Morris, taking them to that different height, that even though Luttrell really did an amazing job for what North Texas is before him, taking it to that next level on your own with your own style and your own quarterback, really, that's, I guess, why you're so excited about him, why I think Chad Weiberg and a lot of people at OSU are excited about him too.
Yeah, that's a good point about Memphis I hadn't considered. It is a little bit of a big fish, small pond kind of place. Like, they are really good at their level, and their coaches do tend to flame out. Whoever Arkansas hires is going to flame out. I don't know. Arkansas, I would have no confidence if I was an Arkansas fan.
I don't think any Texas Tech or Arkansas fans are listening to this show. At least I hope not.
That's fine. I don't care if people who don't wear orange like me. That's fine. Arkansas, Texas Tech, OU, they all wear red. They can all dislike me. That's fine. Yeah, I don't know. I'm very Alex Golish or Eric Morris. Again, I would be fine with a Colin Klein hire. I'd be fine with a Kane Womack hire. I'd be fine with a Zach hire. But I don't think that those hires get me fired up the way Golish or Morris get me fired up. Like, I don't think that those hires have me really ready and excited to open my wallet to type in my credit card number to renew my season tickets the way Morris and Golish do. So, and I want to do that. Like, my daughter's getting old enough now. She's going to be able to go to all the games. We're not going to have to worry about nap time starting next fall. Like, next fall is the time where I can really get into it, and it can become a good family thing with me, my wife, and my daughter. She'll be old enough to really enjoy it. So, yeah, Golish and Morris are the two guys who have me excited to break out the credit card and renew the season tickets.
Yeah, I mean, sign me up for either of those. And it just, God, it makes me feel so old. I covered Eric Morris when he was a wide receiver at Texas Tech. I distinctly remember it was OU at Tech in Lubbock. I was there. It was like an 11 a.m. kick. OU wore these like throwback uniforms in all white and just got run out of the stadium in 2009. It's when they went like 8-5. And Eric Morris had like 2 or 3 touchdowns, was just returning punts, was just killing them, just killing them. I think they called him like Elf. I think he had a nickname called Elf, Eric Elf Morris back then. And God, that was 2009. And fast forward, and now he might be the next head coach at OSU, along with some other names I've mentioned. But makes me feel old, Colby. Certainly makes me feel old. You know what doesn't get old? Brewster Consulting Group, efficient processes. Yes, that's right. The Pistols Firing Podcast is brought to you by Brewster Consulting Group. And do any of these sound familiar at your company? 1, our processes are manual and inefficient with no documentation, or your data reporting takes forever and is not accurate. Or do you hear all the hype about AI but have no clue what it actually means for your business, or your project runs over time and over budget? If so, talk to our friends at Brewster Consulting Group. They're founded and ran by an OSU alum and season ticket holder, and you can learn more about them at brewsterconsulting.com or learn about their methodologies by connecting with them at Brewster Consulting Group on LinkedIn or YouTube. So, Colby, and like we are on, it's November 14th, and I think I said 3 weeks ago that this thing would be wrapped up around November 17th. I said it'd take about 3-4 weeks to wrap up, and I think we'll have the name by December 1st. I think from now, it's Chad's going to talk to all the checkbooks and power brokers and guys like you've heard from that are ready to open up the checkbook and sign a quarterback, which I think is very smart, very shrewd. And it's time for him to make that call, and it's a huge call, as we've talked about for weeks and weeks and weeks now. So any more thoughts before we get to hoops?
Nope, I'm good. Morris or Golish, I love it. The other 3, I'm good with it. So, yeah, what I'm really good with, though, is hoops. Like, I'm really we had Kyle on Wednesday, so we didn't talk a lot of basketball. So we can't skip over the A&M game on Sunday to get – well, they're both A&M. One's Texas A&M, one's Prairie View A&M. Both absolute beatdowns. And what they did to Texas A&M Sunday, I mean, my God, Carson. And Victorious Miller, I mean, you've got his name there in the banner. This kid can really score. Anthony Roy hasn't even played yet. And this team, their lowest scoring output of the season in their 3 games is that 87-point, 24-point victory against Texas A&M on Sunday. Like, this team, they might be for real, Carson. Like, I'm not at Final Four or bust yet, but let me see a few more of these beatdowns, and I'm going to be ready to buy my tickets to the Final Four.
Man, Final Four. Is that what we're already talking about? Are we getting that far ahead?
Yep. 3 games in, baby. We're 3 games in, and I'm going to the Final Four. That is how irrational I am, because I want to feel something, Carson. And this team, they're making me feel something.
For beating up on A&M, and what's that new coach they just hired? What's his name?
Bucky McMillan.
Yeah, for beating up on Buckyball, we're going to the Final Four. Is that what we're doing? Are we going to jump to those conclusions? I'm here for it. Let's do it. I mean, look, they're absolutely loaded. Like, and it's more than just the Roy component. Like, look, I know once they get him back, that's really what makes this scary. Like Victorious Miller, like we'll talk about him in a second. He's been really elite so far. But for more than anything, it's top to bottom. These guys can play. I mean, how long has it been, Colby, since when guys had open jump shots did you feel confident they were going in? It feels like it's been forever. Even guys like the Karate Kid. That kid's a dog. He can shoot. He's fearless. Like your boy from Oregon State. I mean, they've got so many bodies with all the – and that's the thing that really stands out to me most is not only do they have a bunch of bodies and athletes and just depth for the first time in forever, they have the puzzle pieces that fit together, guys who do different things. It felt like this roster was all the same top to bottom for so long under Mike Boynton, to where they were all kind of raw and athletic, and they couldn't shoot a lick, and they had these spurts offensively where they would just go scoreless for 5, 6, 7 minutes. Those days are gone. They have a very wide array of athlete on the roster now, and that really I thought shone through against A&M because they just imposed their will on A&M, and it wasn't really even close. I mean, they just dominated them. And then Prairie View is what it is. I thought that was more of a showcase for Victorious Miller to say, you know what, I might be the alpha up in here, Mr. Roy. But man, you're not wrong to want to jump to conclusions, but just the overall top to bottom puzzle pieces to me, Colby, look really, really good as it stands on November 14th.
Yeah, look, I have no idea what this team is going to look like in 3 months. I don't know if they're a tournament team. I don't know if they're a Sweet 16 team, a Final Four team. We don't know. A lot of new guys. College basketball, I think, is wildly unpredictable until you get to about the middle of January and you figure out who people really are when they start having to go on the road in conference and play really good teams, especially in a loaded Big 12 conference. But here's why I am irrationally excited about this team, and I am declaring it as irrational. Oklahoma State hasn't won a tournament game in 20 years. It's irrational excitement. Not hadn't won a tournament game, hadn't made the Sweet 16 in 20 years. They won a tournament game with Kate. I'm irrationally excited because I have watched every Oklahoma City Thunder game that has been played. I didn't watch every game last season, but starting about, March 1st or so, I watched every game. I watched all the way through the playoff run. I've watched all 13 games this season. And Carson, what Oklahoma State does looks, I'm just telling you, it would get the Sam Presti seal of approval in terms of how this roster is constructed. You've got bigs who do their job. You've got wings who do their job. You've got guards who do their job. They play ferocious defense. They attack you at all three levels. They can shoot. They can get to the free throw line. Victorious Miller, high-volume free throw shooter so far through these first few games. They've got a walking bucket in that guy. They've got another one fixing to come back in Anthony Roy. They've got real bigs that are physical, that are skilled around the basket, that rebound, that score, that shoot the ball well from the free throw line. Like Carson, there are just not a lot of holes in this roster. And you talk about taking a puzzle and making the pieces fit together. And just because I don't know college basketball teams and rosters that well, I'll use NBA teams more as examples. Sometimes if the puzzle pieces don't fit, the talent doesn't matter. The LA Clippers had talent. Bradley Beal's out for the season, but it didn't matter because they're all 100 years old and they all just want to hog the ball. What's happening in Sacramento, they're going to be the worst team in the NBA this season, and all they have on that team is names. Russell Westbrook, Domantas Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan. It doesn't matter. The pieces don't fit. The pieces fit on this Oklahoma State basketball team, and the similarities between what they're doing, obviously not at the same level as the greatest basketball team to have ever existed in the history of the creation of the game by Mr. Naismith. That's what the Thunder are. The Oklahoma State Cowboys, they're just a budding version of that in college basketball, and I'm irrationally excited to see what that could turn into.
Boy, we went from Final Four to Oklahoma City Thunder in the same segment. Holy moly.
Again, I said it was irrational. I said that.
I'm not sure where to go with that other than...
Exactly.
And the one parallel I will make is the fact that Roy's not playing and the fact that Thunder are doing this without the best small forward in the entire NBA. That's... And look, we'll see. I mean, there's a lot to shake out. They've only played one real opponent so far in A&M. Prairie View is what it is. But the Big 12 is going to be loaded, so we'll see. And I'm extremely encouraged. And again, I think you have to give Steve Lutz a lot of credit for not only just going out and revamping the roster in the NIL era, but clearly a lot of thought went into this in terms of which pieces to go get, which pieces fit together. And that to me is really, this team, doesn't this team, Colby, look like they've played, remember the last couple of years with the new rosters each year, the last two? It looked like for about 75% of the year, it looked like they were still learning how to play together. To me, this team already looks like they've played together for a year or two. That to me was pretty telling in terms of not only Steve Lutz's coaching ability, but just, again, how this roster shapes up.
Yeah, the chemistry looks weirdly built in, and there's going to be a point at this season, probably early in Big 12 conference play. They're going to go on the road against a really good team, and they're going to take an 18-point shellacking, and we're going to think, God, what happened there? And I do think there are going to be growth moments like that throughout the season, because this is not a team like the Thunder, who I've been talking about, who've been playing together for years and who have it all figured out. But there's something there, like the seeds that Steve Lutz has planted. We're starting to see them grow a little bit right now, and I can't wait to see Anthony Roy out there. Take your time, be fully healthy whenever you get back. There's a whole series of rum-dums right here. I can't wait for the game. It might even be a month from today against Oklahoma. I'm excited for some Bedlam basketball. We could go in there and just absolutely throttle OU at the Paycom Center. There's a lot of throttling going on at the Paycom Center these days. We might as well get Oklahoma State in on the action.
I tell you what, too. Just based on what I've been reading on the Chamber, on Pistols Firing Blog, and sign up for the Chamber, PFB Plus. Like, people are already, like, scooping up their Bedlam tickets at the Paycom. Like, if OSU goes on a real run and is unbeaten going into that game, you're going to see about 80% orange in there because OU fans are never fired up about basketball. They're certainly not fired up about basketball this year with their football team doing better. That could be – I'm talking about make Gallagher-Iba rowdy again. There were times where Paycom was rowdy with Oklahoma State there in the Big 12 tournament. A few of those non-conference games they used to play down there in Oklahoma City. So that could be a real moment where not only is Bedlam back for a night, but you just run them off the floor. That will be a lot of fun. So that's something to really look forward to moving forward. Who does Oklahoma State got next? They got Texas A&M, Corpus Christi. Is that right?
I believe that's right. Yes, November. I actually pulled up OU schedule to see because I'm wondering how much of that crowd is going to be orange. So I pulled up OU schedule.
I've got
OU already has a loss. OU lost to Gonzaga. OU still has to play Nebraska, Marquette, Wake Forest, and Arizona State before that game against Oklahoma State. They could come in with 3 or 4 losses. I mean, it could be 80% Oklahoma State fans in that building, Carson. OU fans don't care about basketball when they're good. They're certainly not going to show up when they're bad.
Yeah, I mean, I covered them when Blake Griffin had them just rolling when they were a legitimate Final Four caliber team. And Lloyd Noble still wasn't full when they had Blake, the number 1 overall pick in the draft. That tells you anything. So, yeah, OSU they have Texas A&M Corpus Christi on Sunday. Then it's the Alex Golish Invitational. They got South Florida on Wednesday in Stillwater. Then Nicholls State and Northwestern, Big Ten. It's time to put the Big Ten in their place. The Big Ten stinks in football and basketball. Then December.
I've been saying rum-dums. Northwestern was a tournament team last year, if I remember right. Might have even won. I think they were on that 8-9 line and might have even won a game on that 8-9 line.
They've got a Oklahoma State Thunder player now. He's not – Brooks Barnheiser isn't in Northwestern anymore. He's at the Paycom playing for the Thunder.
That's right. I forgot he was a Northwestern guy. Yeah, I didn't remember. Forgot he was a nerd.
Jeez. So Sam Houston.
I say that complimentary.
Grand Canyon and then OU. Then Kansas City, Fullerton, Bethune. That's why beating A&M was so important because their non-conference schedule is not very good other than A&M and OU. So
it was also pretty important, Carson. Real quick, the crowd was pretty good Sunday for A&M. I think it was important for Lutz and that team to show early on, hey, we are worthy of you making the drive. We are worthy of you paying the money for the seats. We are worthy of your afternoon on the weekends. Get up here, watch us play basketball. We're going to make it worth your while. You know who else makes it worth your while is Wulf Corporation. Cowboy fans, if you are looking to sell or lease your commercial property, turn to Wulf Corporation, Oklahoma's trusted commercial real estate listing brokerage since 2010. Their experienced team specializes in showcasing your retail, office, or industrial space to the right buyers and tenants across the state. Based right here in Oklahoma, we deliver results with local expertise. Visit Wulf Corporation at wolfcorporation.com. That's WULF corporation.com or call 405-308-3480 today. Go Pokes.
Good stuff. Appreciate Wulf Corporation sponsoring the show. All right, Colby, I guess we got to talk about the football game this weekend. Let's start with our uniform preview. I thought all black would be a nice showing, but if it's going to be 80 degrees, I don't know if they want to go that direction. So I'm going to go a little more conservative and go, did they wear white, black, white yet? I already forgot.
White, black, white. White, black, white. On top of my head, no.
I don't think they wore that. I'll go white, black, white with the Cursive Cowboys on there. So a little bit of black in there. I kind of feel like the black theme I'm feeling here. I think less orange. I think they were orange, orange, black last time they were home. So I think a little less orange, a little more white and black for me.
I don't know that we're going to get much black for a Saturday 11 a.m. kick for a soon-to-be 1-11 football team. I don't know that we're breaking out a ton of black combos, so I'm going a different direction. I'm going to go with one that they have already worn this season. I'm going wow. White, orange, white. And let's
not even wear uniform combinations anymore. Let's just go old school.
Yeah, white, orange, white, and brand on the side of the helmet. I think they're keeping it simple. KISS for the Saturday 11 a.m. kick against Kansas State. And I'm telling you, it's going to be hot in that stadium down on that turf. The high's like 85 tomorrow, and it's an 11 a.m. kick. The second half, people are going to be a little warm at Boone Pickens Stadium.
One last uniform note. One thing I'm not excited about with basketball is they've ruined their uniforms. Where is the curse of Cowboys? Where is the old school, like 94, 95 big country road uniforms? Apparently those have gone away. And I don't like the brand on a basketball jersey. I need Oklahoma State written out, or I need Curse of Cowboys, one or the other.
Cosign. I want those 90s jerseys back in a big, big way. Those are the best.
Like, was that a Mike Boynton call? Like, let's bring those back,
I don't know.
Steve Lutz. We got to get Steve Lutz on the show. And I'm not going to ask him about NIL or recruiting. I'm like, when are we going to get the uniforms back in a good place, Steve? That's what we need. We got to have it. That's one thing we've had going for us the last 10 years.
I'm going to ask him about his relationship with Mark Dagnall and why it needs to be stronger and how they can help each other be better.
Yeah. Hey, Sam Presti loves going to Gallagher-Iba and scouting
I know.
players.
I know.
It's unbelievable. Kansas State coming to town. Stillwater, Saturday, 11 a.m. kick. I don't have a whole lot of thoughts. Do you have any thoughts? Avery Johnson
19 and a half.
Exploitable.
19 and a half is the line. Give me a reason to be excited for a half. Kansas State's the better team. Kansas State's going to win. They're probably going to cover. Give me a reason to enjoy watching the game for a half. You know, I
will
don't know.
Say, Zane at least has given them a pulse offensively. You know, last time out against Kansas looked pretty solid for him. Left a lot of points on the board there in the first half, getting stopped at the goal line.
Illegal shift. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, that was an improvement, and that's something we needed to see because it had really gone off the rails going into that Kansas game. So maybe Clint Bowen with some time on the bye. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think Vegas knows what they're doing. Vegas hasn't been able to make that line high enough, but I think that says a lot about K-State that they're not north of 20. They're struggling as well with their quarterback. So two programs, Colby, that we kind of thought would run the Big 12 that are really kind of having a really tough year. And I think a lot more light at the end of the tunnel for Oklahoma State, considering they're going to have a coaching change and a revamped roster moving forward. Whereas the latest reports out of Manhattan is that Chris Kleiman's not going anywhere. So that would K-State and Baylor, like OSU's coming for you. OSU's going to be better next year, regardless of what happens. And I don't know if you can say the same for those two.
Yeah, Oklahoma State's going to be better by default. But yes, there are some exciting coaching candidates, and it seems like Kansas State and Baylor are going to miss out on this cycle. So we'll see what it looks like next year, the year after, whenever they decide to move on from Kleiman and Aranda. But yeah, not a lot of reasons to be optimistic if you're a Kansas State fan. Oklahoma State has done the thing where we've bottomed out so hard that now there has to be like this bounce and this excitement and this revamping. Baylor, and to a larger extent, Kansas State, have just fallen into this patch of mediocrity. Definitely more so Kansas State. Like Avery Johnson was supposed to be really good. They were supposed to have a good little few years here with Avery Johnson, and they've just fallen on their face. So, yeah, tough scene for Kansas State, but they're going to win this game tomorrow. I don't know, Carson. I've had a lot of energy for every topic we've discussed today, right up until we got to this K-State game. It just this football season seems like it's been 6 months long already. I
know, it really does. It feels longer than last year because of the fact that,
yeah,
like I do think like with last year with Mike Gundy still at the helm, you kind of thought each week they would finally make the necessary changes. They would stop trying to run it into a brick wall, and Mike would stop gaslighting everyone that everything was okay, but it just kept going. But you at least looked forward to the next week for change. Whereas now we're just kind of waiting till the end of the year. And so like we just have nothing going for us at all, so to speak. So, look,
there were also guys on that team that we were in love with, right? There were players on that team that we really loved as a fan base. We loved Brendan Presley. We loved Ollie Gordon. Even like Rashad Owens. We loved that guy. Deshaun Stribling was a ton of fun. Bowman, like the memories they gave us in 23 created love that still had us invested in them individually in 24, and it all came unraveled. And this year, like, who are the players on this team that the fan base is just in love with and turns on the TV on Saturdays excited to watch play? That list is really small.
Yeah, and I think I saw Doug Meacham told our good friend of the show, Caden McFarland, on his radio show that Hosseini's not coming back, which
I
think we all assumed, but to hear it from the head coach, the interim head coach, says a lot. And look, if Haas can go get the same deal or the same amount of money somewhere else, you wish him well. Good luck. Who knows how that works, Colby, with injuries and stuff like that? I doubt there's some sort of injury provision. I would assume if he came back to Oklahoma State next year, he'd have the same amount of salary. So I take this as he's sitting out, but there was some speculation he might be entering the portal or leaving. Who knows? But look, Haas Haney wasn't the difference in this team going to a bowl or not. This team had a lot of issues coming into the year. It's very unfortunate. I think OSU certainly would have been more competitive with him. But if you're one of those fans like, oh my God, no, what are we going to do if Haas Haney transfers? Like, don't worry about that. I would not lose an ounce of sleep over that. He's a good quarterback. We didn't get to see enough of him. We don't know how good or bad he could be. But OSU is going to be just fine. Again, no players bigger than the program, no coach bigger than the program. And I don't know about you, Colby. I keep seeing that online of like, well, if we hire this person, what are the chances they can convince Haas to stay? It's like, I don't care. Like, go hire the best coach. And if he stays, he stays. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
You ready for a terrible pun?
Oh,
if Haas leaves, we'll mess to make it work.
Oh my God. That's so bad.
Terrible pun. Is that a great way to end the week
I
or
have
what?
bad dad jokes. Your dad jokes make mine cringe. My bad dad jokes cringe at your bad dad jokes.
Is it better if I explain it? It's a Drew Mestamaker joke, everybody. It's a Drew Mestamaker joke.
If you have to explain it, it was pretty bad. But I got it. I didn't need an explanation.
Carson, good stuff. Good stuff.
Hey, great show. Again, that's the final list of names. And again, I would be happy with any of those names. But again, to wrap it up, Alex Golish and Morris on a tier. Below that, I would probably put I might even put Womack ahead of Klein and Zach at this point because that's so far out of left field that they've kept very, 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 very quiet. So you heard it here first, I guess. But
yeah, I haven't heard it anywhere else. That's for sure.
That's the latest. So again, what you see what's going on with football or with basketball on the men's and women's side, you see what's going on with wrestling. I mean, Landon Robideau, by the way, oh my God, that dude was electric on the wrestling team. I cannot wait to watch him. Immediately vaults into the top 5 after whooping the crap out of that Stanford guy who was ranked in the top 5. You look at what all those sports are doing, Colby. Chad Weiberg's fingerprints are all over that. I think football, whoever he decides to hire, they may not win the Big 12 with this next coach, but I find it very hard to believe who he decides to hire is going to flame out and be fired. I don't foresee that. He's obviously put together a really good list that I would be really happy with either way.
Yeah, the list is phenomenal. The coaching cycle is phenomenal. Getting out in front is phenomenal. Chad seems to have made every right move along the way, and we'll see how it plays out. We're a few weeks away from knowing who the next head coach at Oklahoma State is going to be. So, yeah, exciting times and basketball season. Carson, we'll be back in a few days. We'll discuss Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, and all other things happening throughout the fall as we inch closer and closer toward a coaching hire. Great stuff. Appreciate all of our great sponsors and appreciate all of you great listeners. Thanks, as always. Go Pokes.
We are back at it.
You expect to not get your teeth kicked in on your home field.
This is not 1980s OSU.
Back Robinson along